Hello everyone, welcome to Chaos and Order, art by Susan Holt. That is me. Tonight is March 19th, 2025, and things. I'm excited to be here with you this evening. Let me get my apron settled in the back there. Okay, so tonight, welcome to Wednesday Live. I'm glad you're here. I am going to paint for you tonight. Oh, I see Missy is here. Hey, Missy, hey. Miss you. So I'm going to paint for you tonight, but I'm not going to work on the painting that I have been working on. I have a special surprise for you this evening. But before we get there, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping. So if you are live with me tonight, if you are watching in replay, Missy says, I miss your face. Oh, I miss you too so much. We need to get together and do something like have coffee or something. That'd be fun. So give me those likes, give me those hearts, give me all the comments, give me all the questions, whatever you need. I will answer them as we go. If the camera is pointed down at my work table tonight, which it will be, I might answer you later tonight or tomorrow. Missy says, for sure, excellent coffee date with my girls. Yay! So, for those of you watching in replay, go ahead and put hashtag replay down in the comments for me. That way I know you stopped by. And let's just get going on what I'm going to paint for you tonight. I will say, last week I was on my second dose of antibiotics. It was doxycycline, which is the stuff that should kick anything and everything out of your system. I do feel better. I'm sure you can tell that I feel better because I am very chipper today. So we'll see if this holds. I hope it does because I don't want to go through any of that stuff again. But my doctor seems to think I just need to kind of take it easy for a few days still and should have everything resolved. Yay team. So I'm going to move the camera. I'm going to point it down at my work table. So if you get a little motion sick, look away. All right. I will tell you when you can look back. Just get everything set up so I know you can see it. All right. I think there. I think that'll work pretty well. So tonight, instead of working on the Carnation Beta Fish mashup painting, I am going to be working on some painted rocks with you. When I do these painted rocks, it's usually because I need a kind of an emotional and mental break from painting serious art. Not that these aren't serious art, and not that I don't do a good job on them, but they are definitely different from like working on a canvas for art that can be sold and shown and all that kind of good stuff. So got all my paints ready, and I do every now and again. It's not a big deal. It's not a mess like it used to be. So we're good. We are good. All right. So here's one of the rocks. I have 3 rocks. I'm going to paint bubbles on these. Let me show you one that's finished. So here's one that is finished. And I'll be doing something like this on these rocks because it's fun. And painting on rocks really does help me kind of hone my bubble painting skills or flower painting skills or kind of whatever, because it is a weird surface. Like these are all rounded, or this one has a divot here in the middle. So they give me a different sort of challenge to paint on. And those of you who know me, I appreciate a good conundrum and a good challenge. So I have my template. Now, I have gone through and I have watched a bunch of videos and a bunch of other artists, how they paint their water droplets and bubbles. And I do mine my way. I'm not copying anybody else's work. I am taking some of the lessons that I have watched from other artists and I'm gonna be doing my own thing. And all of you know that I do my own thing. So I have some, these are high quality paint pens. I'm not gonna walk you through this completely step by step. This is just how I make mine. This is not how everybody does it. So if you are looking for a tutorial, this is not it. Just showing you my process and what I do, which is okay. It is a good thing. So this is a paint pen that I get at my local art supply store. I use these sometimes in my my bigger pieces of art, especially if I need a straight line that's drawn with a ruler. These are fantastic. So make sure got enough space in between where I want my bubbles to go. And I got to painting these bubbles because a friend of mine goes to events and blows bubbles and has fun, and I thought, you know, I want to learn how to paint them because I think that would be fun. She can blow her bubbles, I can paint my bubbles. It's a good team. So this one has a definite weird shape. So I'm gonna do the bubbles on the top here. I don't know if I'm gonna do any on the sides. We'll see. We'll see what happens as the evening goes. But I do these painted rocks like this with the bubbles in multiples, because by the time I get down to the end of one step, the paint before has dried. I am also very lucky that I live in Arizona because it is not humid here. It is very dry, and with acrylic paints, yes, I'm using my acrylic paints, but with acrylic paints, it's not necessarily the time it takes to dry, it's the time and the humidity. So I have to take all of that in mind. I know it's a beautiful dry day out there today, and I know that because I have had the windows and the front screen door open all day. Well, the security door. This rock is really tippy, but I do want to put bubbles on it. This one may give me a little bit of a conundrum, but you all know I'm up for a good challenge. I'm going to prop this up on one of my paint brushes so I get the right angle over here. These rocks are not the not the easiest things to paint on, but they are really fun, and I like putting them out for people to find. I've put a couple out already, not of the bubble rocks. I've done a couple of the flowers, set them out in a couple of places where I've been around the city that I live in while I go out and do my errands. And there is a painted rock group that I belong to here on Facebook. There's instructions to report finding these on that group. I usually do about 3 bubbles on rocks this size. It's a good number. Yeah, it's a good number. And these are about the size of, well, a little bigger than the palm of my hand. Okay, so this one, and when I do the shading on this, I want to make sure that I have the highlights that will be in the highest section of the rock and the low lights falling in the lowest section of the rock. So that can be tricky with some rocks because some rocks have highs and lows. It's not like painting on a flat canvas where you know your light source comes from this direction. You actually have to really kind of plan out where your light source is coming from. So I have some, this is a reused bottle, but I have some paint that I have mixed specifically to do my shadows with. And this is this is not a black paint. It is not a tan paint. It is kind of I think the best way to describe it is super dark rich brown but with a purpley hue. And this is a mixture of paints that artists like Caravaggio used for his shadows. So you know how his, if you look at a Caravaggio painting, Renaissance painting, their shadows aren't black. They're actually this really deep dark color. So there is the inside shadow, and then on these bubbles there's also an outside shadow. So if you think of water droplets or bubbles, when they land on something, even if they just stay there briefly, they do cast a shadow. Cast an internal shadow up by where the light will hit it, and they cast a shadow underneath the bubble as well. That is what I'm capturing here. And when I paint bubbles on canvas, I do a similar thing with them as I do on these rocks, but on these rocks I keep them a lot more simple than I do on my canvas paintings. Now I'm at the point where I have to make sure that the shadow on this rock will match the shadow on that rock. So my light sources are coming from one light source. Coming from one direction. These are all the things we artists think about. And this is just a damp Q-tip. Working with acrylic paint, if you get to it quick enough before it dries, you can kind of wipe up a little mistake. And I find that on the corners here, where the paint I'm putting in for the shadow meets the original ring that I drew, sometimes it kind of makes a weird blob depending on the brush I'm using. And this brush is actually curved. So I've been trying to paint with this one to see if I can control the paint better with it, or with just a simple round brush, because I get different effects from different brushes. I gotta try them all out, see what works best. See what works best for me. Just because this brush is working for me does not mean it will work for another artist. That's because we all have different bone structure and different muscles, different brains, and our bodies work differently. That's the great part about being an artist is, you know, I can draw a bubble or paint a bubble, and somebody else can paint a bubble, and they look nothing alike. So it's not a bad thing. And we could use the exact same tools, the exact same materials, the exact same paint, but they would all still look different. Because the brains and hands that made them are different. That's actually how forgers get caught. Is they don't have the exact same paints and brushes and movements as the original artist. So the pros can tell their work is different. And sometimes I do get a little quiet when I paint. It's not that I don't have anything to say, it's just that there's something I really need to focus on at the moment. And the smaller these bubbles go, the more I need to focus on them. They do get finicky when they're that tiny. Oh, this one's going to be a mess. You can tell. So I think I'm going to do the shadows differently for those two than I am for that one, simply because of the way this rock sits. So this one is on the top. These two are on the side. So I have set myself a task, challenge. Even I am looking at as I do this and go, ooh, really, Susan? Huh? That's what you wanted to do with this one. Okay. I could have chosen a much simpler design for this rock that, you know, didn't really have a light source. Could have done my dot designs on it, or could maybe do a little forest scene or an ocean scene on it. A little fish of some kind. But that's not what I chose to do. Because I like to give myself a heart attack, apparently. Oh my goodness. That's all right. Focusing on this one because it is a little tippy, even though I have the paintbrush underneath it, kind of stabilizing it for me. And these paintbrushes have this nice little grippy rubber right here, so I can put a rock on it and it's not going to move too much. Okay. I think. I know a lot of the other people who paint rocks here in the Phoenix metro area like to use really flat rocks. You know me, sometimes I have to make things difficult for myself. So I like to do the rocks that are not exactly flat. You know, it gives my brain a challenge. Not like my brain isn't challenged enough right now at the moment, but it's not a life or death challenge. Okay, now comes what I think is the trickiest part. I need to have another circle on these that I make with my template, but I need to shift it slightly so that the black circle that I drew earlier sits kind of offset and below the white circle that I'm going to draw so that the shadow looks right. And on these curved rocks, on these curved rocks, it's kind of a pain to do, but I'm gonna do it. Then I have to remember which size of these circles I used. Is that the right one? Is that the right one? That's the right one. And since I do kind of a series of these, I don't always remember which template circle I used at the beginning. But that's okay. I'll figure it out. I will figure it out. I'm being very careful to not stick my finger on the paint that I just put down, and making sure my template is not scraping it as well. So there is a real finesse to this, especially on these curved rocks. Is that one? Is that is not that one. Is it that one? Okay. Good. Oh, I gave myself some challenging rocks tonight, y'all. Oh, and I'm a little tired. I spent the afternoon getting the rest of the produce from the produce box that I got this weekend dispatched. And I made a brand new recipe that I found online because I had a bunch of sweet potatoes that I had roasted. I found a really interesting, actually vegan sweet potato brownie recipe. Found several, and I kind of hacked them together. Because one of them had a good base, what I thought would be tasty, and then one of them had kind of the ratio of sweetness to cinnamon spice I liked. So yeah, I just spent the afternoon getting that put together, tasting good. I did take a little bowl of it into my husband and ate some myself right before I got on with you tonight for the live, and it is delicious. I'm not gonna lie, it is super tasty. That is one thing about learning how to cook in my family. You know, everybody kind of learned how to cook because that's how you feed yourself. And, you know, my parents and my aunts and uncles didn't want anybody to not be able to feed themselves as adults, so we all learned how to cook. That's one of the things that I do really well is I can take a recipe and make sure my husband and I, are going to enjoy eating it. You know, there are some spices that neither of us like, so there are some spices where both of us like. So I need to kind of figure that out. But I do a pretty good job most of the time. And if we invite my bestie over, then I've got to take her taste into consideration as well. All right. So, good thing I'm a good cook. I can do that. Now I'm going to put the highlight on. I'm still going to use my little paint pen because that's going to be the absolute easiest way to do this. I'll show you what kind of hand movements I'm doing here in just a minute on top, but I want to get this one on the side done. So now I'll do this big one on the top so you can see. And this rock has a really bumpy surface. So it's not the most, it's not the easiest surface to work on with a paint pen like this. So this is not going to be the smoothest line I've ever drawn in my life, and that's okay. May just make the bubble look like it's moving a little bit more. That works too. And down here we have to do a little bit of reflected light. Make it into a little teardrop shape because I think that looks best. And the reflected light. There we go. So there's that one done with the painting. Now this paint will need to sit overnight and cure and kind of bond to the acrylic paint underneath it. And then I can take it outside. And I can spray it with a varnish. And I spray the varnish on all sides of the rock. I do have these little paper tags on the back. Just wiped off too much paint of the shadow, so I'm just going to go in with my little liner brush and put that back in. There. No biggie. When I teach people to paint, I am known for saying, don't worry about it, it's only paint. You know, it's not like people are going to make a masterpiece the very first time they do something. And if they do, then they are a genius. But I know it takes time and patience and practice to get anything right. So that's what I'm doing with these rocks. Practicing my bubbles. And making cute little pretty rocks that I can put out and have people find them. And I'll make somebody's day. You know, we humans are a societal species. We do need other humans to survive. I think part of that is being kind, doing fun stuff that surprises people when they're not expecting it. And in this weird political climate that we are in, I think these little painted rocks are welcome relief when people find them. They're a welcome relief for my brain, focusing so hard on canvas paintings. Okay. So it's a nice little break for me too. All right. I'm going to move the camera around. Oh my goodness, I see we've got a lot of people watching tonight. We've got April and Tom and Melissa and Linda. Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I don't really have anything else to show you tonight. I just really wanted to sit down and have some fun and relax and create for you. So that was tonight. That was tonight. Especially since I'm now feeling a little bit better from all the stuff I have been going through this year medically. Hopefully it's over and done with at this point. But if it's not, I'll keep you posted. So that's going to do it for me tonight. If you do want some art or some art jewelry that I create for Mother's Day that is coming up, go ahead and let me know. Or you can go right over to my website, www.saholtstudios.com. That's SAHOLTSTUDIOS.com. And if you want a specific piece and you don't see it on there, go ahead and let me know. Or if it's one of the paintings that's still at Gamage for the run of Wicked, we can definitely do something and get that arranged for you to purchase that piece that you absolutely love. And of course, as always, my art is for you to calm down to, take some breaths, recenter yourself, focus, and de-stress. Everybody needs that right now. So if you want some de-stress art, let me know. But I think that's going to do it for me. And I hope to catch you here next week on Chaos and Order Art by Susan Holt at 5 p.m. Arizona time. We have our own time zone because we don't do daylight savings time. So do check your search engines for that. And I hope to see you there next week, or here next week in my studio. So that's going to be it for me tonight. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll talk to you later. Bye, everyone.